Guys, it is Thursday night. Time for some Northern Virginia live. There is a lot of news going on in the area of Northern Virginia and the DC area, of course. Tons of things I want to talk about. Some Airbnb changes in the state of Virginia come along, and then a ton of builders now are giving different incentives for financing. And that's something else that I want to talk about. So, obviously, right now we are seeing an extremely low inventory here in Northern Virginia. Part of the problem is if you have under a 4% rate, you're more than likely not going to be selling and purchasing anytime soon, as interest rates have started to hit 7.5%. But what I'm seeing is a lot of builders in the area have some inventory, and they are finally now giving some good deals. And I wanted to give you guys some examples of what I'm seeing some of these builders do that are like just insane with some of the rates. So if you are looking for something, you can definitely find a new construction deal here in Northern Virginia. So let me just give you guys some examples. Marissa, what is up? I appreciate you joining me as always. And I want to show you guys my screen here because I want to get into this a little bit about this Dream Home Finders thing. So just make sure I can get this pulled up here. Cool. Yeah. So right now, Dream Home Finders is a big builder in Manassas area. They're big in Florida as well. And I was just looking, they have a program right now. A couple other builders do as well here in the Northern Virginia area. So obviously the APR right now is expected to be around like 7.5, 7.25. Well, year one, you can get a 4.5 interest rate. And then you go into year two at a 5.5. And then year 3 to 30, you are at 6.5. Now, here's the thing, right? What they're doing is they're paying like a $25,000 incentive for you to do that. Somewhere around there is probably what it's going to end up costing. So if you're looking to buy and you're like on the fence, you can actually do this with resales as well. I just got somebody into one. It is called a mortgage buy down program. So like I said, you could start off year one, 4.5, year two, 5.5, then year three, 6.5. At any point in time, you can actually refinance, right? So hopefully by year 3 or 4, the rates are back down to 5 or 4.5, and then you just go in and refinance. Another builder that I saw, now a ton of builders are doing it. It's been interesting because a lot of the builders recently have been asking me to do videos where before they just didn't have much inventory. Another builder that I saw, Toll Brothers, which is a big builder around here, they are actually doing it as well. They are doing a 5.9 fixed rate 30-year fixed up till the end of the year, January 2nd. So there's actually all kinds of different deals going around if you are looking to purchase a new home. And like I said, there's just like a lot more inventory for the new home builders, which they didn't have before. And I've seen them do deals like never before. Now, it looks like we got a bunch of people joining in and joining in the live stream here. So definitely comment below where you guys are from, what you want to see. And so another thing that I want to talk about a little bit is there's some major Airbnb changes happening in a bunch of local areas in Virginia. Loudoun County really wasn't enforcing any of their Airbnb stuff. Well, they finally started having some issues. I actually got interviewed by a local news station here about it. And right now in Loudoun County, they are really cracking down on Airbnbs. You actually have to get the house registered now. You have to be within 1 hour driving distance of the Airbnb property. And then you also have to be, able by the phone but be able to return a call within 24 hours. You have to be able to answer the phone. So that's obviously going to stop a lot of people from buying an Airbnb in Loudoun County. So they're really cracking down on them. What's up, Kevin from Fredericksburg? Appreciate you joining us. The other area that's really starting to crack down as well is Lake Anna. Now they haven't fully given it up or anything like that, where they're like, oh, you can't do any of the, now this thing's wanting me to subscribe. But anyways, they're not doing it where you can't do any sort of Airbnb. But the problem is a lot of the septic systems there are going out because people are doing Airbnb parties and they're having these huge ragers. And then the septic systems go out and that ends up hurting other people's property nearby. And then, of course, there's a bunch of other cars that come with the neighborhood with some of the parties. Some of these houses were not designed, these Airbnb properties in Lake Anna or Richmond to hold 20 people deep parties. Some of these houses are getting to be a couple $1,000s a night for the Airbnb. So right now we're seeing Richmond, Louisa, and Loudoun County really crack down on the Airbnb market. Now, if you do have like a room that you're going to rent, I really wouldn't worry about it too much. Like the only thing that the stipulation they have is someone can't stay there for more than 6 months. But short-term rentals, they are definitely cracking down on those. I see a bunch of other people are chiming in. Let me know where you guys are from. Would love to talk, more with you on this. Also, really quick on the Loudoun County thing, they added a 6% additional tax, and then they now have an 8% tourist tax. So I'm sure that a lot of the hotels were upset. So that's really making part of that change come in. One other thing that's a big news story right now that I've been following, I'm sure you guys may have heard. We got somebody from Oakton. What's up? Right now, they are building a huge water park in Spotsylvania, Virginia, which really shocked me. I didn't really know this was going on. And right now, basically, let me pull up my screen for you guys. This thing is going to be huge. It's massive. The thing is going to cost $900 million. It's expected to have like all these conference centers, a huge indoor water park. It's going to be 45 minutes from Richmond, about an hour from Washington, D.C., and then 1.5 hours from Charlottesville. 907 rooms, and then 175,000 square foot indoor water park, and then a 90,000 square foot outdoor adventure park. So this thing is it's going to be huge. It's like between King's Dominion probably and Fredericksburg. So I want to know, like, Kevin, you live over in Fredericksburg, man. Like, what do you think about it? Do you think it's going to cause a ton of traffic over in the area there, like towards Fredericksburg on 95? Because obviously 95's got to be one of the most brutal parts in the country to drive. But I think it'll be a good thing with all the convention center traffic that we're going to be having. So let me know what you guys think. And also, if you guys have any real estate related questions while I'm in here doing this live, I would love to do that. Thinking about moving to the Middleburg area, any issues with buying land there that I should know about? Here's the thing, right? A lot of people ask us about buying land. I get calls all the day with buying land. It's definitely possible. The big thing is you want to make sure that you get a well and septic test, and then it's going to permit. The other thing is, obviously, you're going to want to make sure it has well water. Towards Middleburg, you might run into some of these issues where you can only have a certain amount of acres per house. That's one thing that I would definitely keep in mind. The big thing I say when you're buying land is definitely do some due diligence. You can run into some crazy things. Like I've heard stories of, VDOT saying you got to put in an extra roadway or driveway, but it's definitely possible. Obviously, a lot of that land out there, has been in family for generations, and some of it gets parceled off, but it's definitely possible. You can shoot me an email, info@colganteam.com. I can definitely share some more with you about it. I have a lot of people that try to do land things, and it's definitely doable, but it can be tough. Kevin, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, the traffic is already bad as it is on 95. Talking a little bit about real estate. I touched on this a little bit more, but as I started to think about it, it's really shocking. So right now in the DC area, 23% of home buyers have paid cash for their house, and 50% of people that have bought a house in the DC area are going to buy no matter what the rates are. Now, where did this data come from? This came from the MLS as they surveyed different home buyers. But can you imagine almost a quarter of the home buyers in the DC area are paying cash? I would love to know where they are getting all this cash from. About 4% of the buyers go on to say that the rates had a factor. And then 43% said it was very difficult to buy a house here in Northern Virginia or DC area. And then 38% said it was somewhat easy back in June. But then you look in September of last month, 40% said it was very difficult to buy a house. And then 46% said it was really easy to buy a house in the month of September. So it looks like things are kind of like there's still a lot of heavy buyers around here. You know what? I think a lot of the commission or a lot of the buyers that are paying cash are going to be people that sold a house. There's a lot of people that are going to be retiring around here, that are moving up, like especially the active adult community. So maybe they sold a house in New York, Boston. I'm seeing a lot of people, or Florida. I've seen a lot of people that want to be closer to their kids. They're paying cash. And then there's just a lot of like young professionals. Yes. And then other people from other countries, of course, that, you know, are going to be paying cash in the area. Yeah. Regarding that, the trial. So obviously, yeah, I saw like I haven't read too much about it, but obviously it's going to be in appeals for years. I guess they were saying that they felt like buyers weren't aware that a seller was paying a commission. Now, every time I've ever listed a house for sale, it plainly says in there that the seller is paying the buyer's commission. And then we have a buyer disclosure that the buyer signs. So I think some areas they may not do that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know all the facts, but we'll see. You know, I definitely, things have already changed. Like in our MLS, you no longer have to pay a buyer a commission. Not that you ever really had to. You could put $1 in there. So that's some of the changes that I see. I think at the end of the day, though, to be honest, I think it's really going to hurt the home buyer, especially if they expect home buyers to have to pay an agent when like loans like VA, where maybe you're doing no money down or you're not paying closing costs. That's going to be a little difficult, and it could probably hurt home prices, in my opinion, as well. But the other thing I want to talk about is about the buyer outlook stuff. There is another thing that right now you can do is assumable loans. I'm seeing a lot more of those. So you can actually do a VA one, where if someone has a VA loan and say they're locked in at 3%, you can actually take over their loan. The seller does have to have a lot of equity in their property. So say, you know, it's 500,000 that they're selling it for, and it's worth 300. If they do a VA assumable, then the buyer's not a VA buyer. That seller could no longer use that VA loan, their VA eligibility. So obviously someone would want to check that out. And then you're also seeing that with FHA. So there's a lot of different unique financing, right? Like you have that going on. And then I just did a big video for a $5 million builder and over in McLean, and they're talking about how they're getting back into doing some arms and some other unique things. And obviously to do something like that, you got to put down a couple $1 million on a $5 million house. But like I said, you're seeing some of these builders right now do 4.5%. So you can get the good interest rates if you find the right buyers, you know, the right deals, the right builders, all kinds of things. Let me know too if you guys have any other real estate related questions. I love talking real estate. One other breaking news story, like for our area, is Kings Dominion and Cedar, who's owned by Cedar Fair. Them and Six Flags have merged. So it looks like Kings Dominion is going to be getting taken over. They would probably go under the Six Flags names now. Now, if you're not into amusement parks, it doesn't really matter, but it is going to be an interesting thing, as Kings Dominion is a big attraction. But those two companies have merged, and then there's obviously a Six Flags over in Maryland. So right now, I'd hate to see the Kings Dominion name go away and then it turn into Six Flags, but that's something that I think is probably going to end up happening. SeaWorld at one point did try to buy Kings Dominion and the company that they're owned by, and the whole deal fell apart. So that's another like business story that I'm tracking. Ryan, man, where are you from? And Marissa, where are you from? Some people that are checked in here. But yeah, let me know. You know, I'd love coming on here Thursday, just hopping on live. We got a bunch of people. Ryan, you're from Fairfax. I was just doing a video the other day. Fairfax is probably one of the strongest markets in the United States. They're at a 5-year low on active listings. They're at a 5-year low on days on market, and their prices are up like 6%. So Fairfax County is probably one of the hottest markets in the United States. Part of the reason is I think a lot of people are moving in closer into DC and Arlington and Alexandria, and they're opting to do that. And then we're seeing a lot of high paying jobs at Amazon and some other defense contractors. So Fairfax is definitely a great market right now. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. Luke, what's up, man, from Alexandria City? You know, Alexandria is obviously a great market as well. And if you guys are thinking about buying or selling a house, definitely text me at any time or shoot me an email. But yeah, Alexandria is another great market right now that I'm seeing a ton of different things go on. And if you guys actually have any questions about different stats for your area, I can pull it up for you right now and we can just go through it. But yeah, man, I mean, if you are thinking about selling, there's obviously not a lot of inventory, right? But I know it's hard to walk away if you have a 3% interest rate, right? So if you're thinking about selling, you know, it is a good time as there's not much for sale. But most of the people that are calling me about selling right now are either like a divorce or, God forbid, a death in the family. So a lot of like life challenge type people are moving right now. But most people, for the most part right now, have kind of been staying put. Luke, do you own a place in Alexandria or do you rent right now? That's something that I've got me curious because I know Alexandria is super expensive. But yeah, other than that, guys, I appreciate you joining in. I mean, it looks like we got a ton of people watching. If you have any real estate questions for me, definitely comment below. Or if you want to know something about your local area. Right now, it's just we're not seeing much for sale. I mean, there's just not much for sale, but there is a lot of buyers sitting on the sidelines right now. But I am also seeing some people that are calling and saying they need to move some money around or they inherited money. There's a lot of weird things going on right now at the moment. But Northern Virginia still seems to be a pretty strong market. I will say some friends in Florida and some other markets are telling me that things are starting to slow down a little bit, which makes sense. A lot of things going on in the world, obviously. And then you have interest rates almost hitting 8%. Luke, condo in Alexandria almost paid off. That's a beautiful thing, man. Congratulations. Thoughts on commercial? Commercial is actually struggling right now. I just saw there's a big building in Tyson's that's actually getting foreclosed on. And whoever owns it just told the bank, like, hey, just take it back. That's going to be a big factor. I think office space is going to be really tough. Where the commercial is doing good is if it's like a specialty like auto or maybe even like a tire place or yards where you can store things. Though the data centers have really made those prices go way up, but office space commercial is pretty slow right now. Other than that, I don't think we're going to see a big change there, but I will tell you some spots in like Arlington, Reston, Tyson's, there's a lot of vacant office space right now, which you can imagine. So, Luke, let's pull up. I'm going to pull up Alexandria. Let's see what's going on over there. So, just to kind of give you a little bit thing right here, the average sold price is actually up in Alexandria City 10% year over year, which is kind of incredible. So it was 615 and now it's 674. So looks like Alexandria is a really hot market right now. And then, one thing I like to look at is when I pull up these reports is I go in and I try to figure out, all right, like you can tell a lot of things that a lot of people will say to me, hey man, do you think I was in the business when it crashed in 08, right? 06, 08 timeframe. There at one point in Northern Virginia and DC, we had a year worth of houses for sale, right? So we're nowhere near that right now. So in what we call that month supply, meaning if no one listed any of their houses, at one point I saw it there would be a year, right? So a lot of people will say to me, well, I think the prices are going to come down or whatever. But if you look in like a market like Alexandria, new listings are down 30% year over year from last year. So what that means is there's a third less people putting their house on the market. Now new pendings are up 11%. So even though there's 30% less houses for sale, there's 10% more houses selling. And then closed sales are up 5%. So meaning like Alexandria is actually a really good market. And then their medium sold price is up 22% to 601. Now that could be a little skewed. There could have just been some big, huge properties that sold. But one thing when you look at something like Alexandria, when I'm looking at numbers, they're actually at a 5-year low almost for active listings. So at one point they had 365 active listings at any given time, and now it's down to 203. So they're at their 5-year low. So you're talking before COVID, before the government put a bunch of money in. They're still low. And then they're at their 5-year average for days on market, which is 21 days. And then most people are getting what they want. So houses are selling for 99.4% of asking price. So, you can tell now where I would be really concerned, and I would be 100% honest with you guys, if this was totally flip-flopped. If we were seeing 30% more houses coming on the market and 20% less pendings, then we would say, okay, there's a lot more inventory and there's a lot less home sales and there's a lot less closings going on. But right now, there's just not a lot of inventory around here. And as you know, there's not a lot of new home builders around here right now. There's not large tracts of land in Alexandria. So what that ends up happening, I have no idea. But I will tell you, like I said, I just did a video for a builder who's building $5 million homes in McLean. He's building $3 million houses in Annandale. And he just told me he bought 10 more lots because he's actually selling these things. So believe it or not, there's still a lot. Now, are people knocking down the door to buy houses right now? Not exactly when their interest rates are 8%. Let me know if you guys think that's helpful. I can pull up your area as well if you'd like before we end it. We got a bunch of people watching, so I appreciate you. Definitely comment below. I'd love to know what other type of content you guys, want to see on the channel. And my Instagram also has become very popular. It's like 3 million people a week watch that thing. It's at Chris Colgan Stream. Yeah, man, the active listings Alexandria are really low right now. But yeah, like you said, people are getting what they want. So that makes sense, right? If you're a home buyer and you're coming around and you're looking, you're going to have to pay, like as an agent, right? If I go and I show them, I'm like, look, there's only a limited supply to look at right now. You can't really go around lowballing. But what we are seeing is we're seeing people actually get things like appraisals. They're actually getting inspections done, like where they had to waive those before, so that definitely kind of plays into things. Yes, Kevin, Arbor Route 1 and 3 are already horrendous in the mornings and evenings. Yeah, man, for sure. I love Fredericksburg. I have no idea what they could do about the traffic. They should have done what they did on 66 with those hot lanes going both ways on 95 instead of the way they did it. I think that would have been really helpful. I don't know what you think, but yeah, especially if there's any type of accident on 95, everyone just gets screwed. Any other question you guys have for me? We got a ton of people actually watching right now. Shadow 4, you said you live over in Oakton, but well, look, man, I appreciate you guys watching as always. If you are looking, I know some people turn in a lot because Airbnb can be a sexy topic. If you are looking to do an Airbnb and you're like, hey, what area should I look at? I would say, an area to look at would be Linden, Virginia, Front Royal, Lake Anna, which is starting to get really expensive. And then another area would obviously be Luray, Virginia. You see a lot of people that go out there and do Airbnb. Yeah, man, let's take a quick look. Yeah, ma'am, or yes, ma'am, or sir, whoever it is. Shadow 4 says, yes, I do live over in Annandale. Let's take a look, or Oakton, I'm sorry. Let's take a look and see what's going on in Oakton. Not a very huge area, right? But let me just share my screen with you guys. So over in Oakton, 14 listings, down 36%. Now, Oakton, I would never believe this right here. They basically down. I would imagine that's not right because there's no way prices. There's only been 10 pending, 16 sales, so there's just not a lot going on in there. So not a lot of data. I probably would look more with Fairfax. Yeah. So Luke asked me, can I explain the issues going on with the National Association of Realtors? Honestly, as much as I understand it, right? Like if you were a seller and you're saying, if I went to you and said, hey, I want to list your house, I'm going to help you list your house for sale, I'm going to market it, etc., do the photography, negotiate everything, I would split the other, so I would say to you, hey, I charge X percent. I'm just going to make up a number. I charge 4.5%. I'm going to pay the buyer agent 2.5%. And then I'm going to keep 2%. A lot of people think the listing agent takes the whole thing, which is not the case. So basically, some of the MLSs, I understand, were saying, and NAR was saying that we had, when we were offering a property for sale, we had to give some kind of commission. What they're saying is, hey, that's not right. You guys colluded. There's builders around here that pay $1,000 buyer agent commission. They're saying that the buyers didn't understand that and sellers didn't understand it. And then it's going to go through years of litigation because, that's just how these things work out. But long story short, when you do list your house for sale, there is a listing agreement and it says in there, this is the total commission. This is how much goes to the listing party. This is how much goes to the selling party. And then when you buy, you sign a buyer agency agreement in Virginia and it says, hey, I am making a commission. And it also actually goes on to say, if for some reason, you decided not to use me and I took you around and all this and something happened or you and the seller got together, I could still be owed a commission. That's definitely happened to me before. Have I ever gone after anybody? No, of course not. I haven't. So that's what's going on. I don't know how much it'll change the real estate industry, to be honest with you. Like I'm kind of one of those people, I just focus on like what I can control. But I don't really, I mean, from my perspective too, also at closing, you sign an ALTA that shows where the commissions are going. So that's kind of what's going on. But you know what? I think it's going to be one of those things that'll eventually make it to the Supreme Court. Hope that answered your question. But even though I've been in real estate for 20 years, by far, I'm not an expert on it. Chris, you're right. I wish you did make those lanes on 66 during the peak vacation season. It's going to be jam packed. Good for business, but not for residents. Yeah, I mean, when you're talking a $900 million water park, indoor water park, that's going to be year round, right? And then that's going to be plus all the convention centers. So you're going to have a lot of people driving all the way up from, Richmond, Northern Virginia, DC. So there's certainly going to be a lot of convention. And it's funny, right? Because Spotsylvania to me doesn't really have like a huge town area. I would assume you would have to go to Fredericksburg and all that. So yeah, 95, that's just one of those roads they have never been able to figure out for whatever reason. And that road is just brutal. Have you guys ever driven through Emporia, Virginia? Like Emporia, Virginia, like South Virginia? Whatever you do, for life of you, do not speed through there. That is like the traffic ticket capital of the world. It's like when you go to North Carolina between the Virginia line, that county must make all their money from traffic tickets because 95, like I said, that is a traffic, ticket haven there. And then, yeah, great info. Yeah, of course, man. Anytime, I love doing these lives, answering your guys' real estate questions. It's an amazing thing. This YouTube channel, like 10,000 people a week from the DC area watch it. And like I said, 2 or 3 million are on the Instagram. So I appreciate you guys. I'm going to end this live. I'm going to try to do these every Thursday. I try to do breaking real estate news, breaking business news for the area. And I can definitely talk about the market. Every week, the MLS does put out different stats. So I kind of like to keep my pulse on the market for you guys. And if you're thinking about buying or selling, the drill, always text me. And I love video ideas. So if you ever have any video ideas, definitely let me know. Shoot me an email. People shoot me messages all the time. Like, you should talk about this. And a lot of videos that I make come through that. And you wouldn't believe it. Sometimes I'm shooting some of these YouTube videos. It's like I'm shooting like Jurassic Park. We got like camera people. And a lot of times we get yelled at too. That's the funny thing about it. But some of these 5-minute videos take 5 hours to shoot. It's pretty incredible. So thanks, Jasmine. I appreciate you for watching. Thanks, Ryan, as well. I will see you guys later. Have a great night.